But we don't see any charges, arrests, or investigations in the United States. What do we see? We see our FBI director celebrating in the locker room at the Olympics overseas. It's fine to be proud of this country, but we should be proud of this country because we have a system of justice that works. Who are the men that should be investigated? I'll name them right here.
Congressman Thomas Massie engaged in a fiery rebuke of the Justice Department over their failure to investigate, some of the revelations we've learned over the release in the Epstein files. Now, he's about to reveal the 3 men that he would like the DOJ to investigate. But before we get to that, Cenk, your 2 cents.
Yeah, classy Thomas Massie. With a great speech there, finally naming names. 2 of them you might be familiar, 1 you might not. But what is this going to lead to? What is the next step from this? We'll find out after Anna gives you the facts in the speech.
Well, Massie calls him out in this next clip. Take a look.
Who are the men that should be investigated? I'll name them right here. Leon Black. You don't even have to see past the redactions to see that this man needs to be investigated. Jes Staley, accused of terrible things. It's right there in the files. Why is he not being investigated? And Leslie Wexner, why did the FBI list him as a co-conspirator in their own documents in a child sex trafficking case, and then tell him, according to him, that they had no questions for him?
Now look, one of the journalists that's done incredible investigative reporting on Jeffrey Epstein, in fact, she published a book about Jeffrey Epstein, her name is Whitney Webb. She has just done her very first interview since the release of the Epstein files, and she was interviewed by a show called Redacted, and she talks about why she believes Les Wexner will never be prosecuted. She talks about his wealth, his connections, so please check in on that because I highly recommend that interview. But before we get to what we know about the individuals named by Massie, Cenk, any initial thoughts?
Yeah, so he's not asking for them to be arrested. He's asking for the bare minimum. Why didn't we investigate them if the FBI thinks that Wexner is a co-conspirator? What would it take to investigate someone? I mean, he co-conspirated in the largest pedophile ring that we know of in American history with the most powerful men. Why wouldn't that merit an investigation?
Right.
Leon Black, we covered earlier on the program, some of the emails indicate the most vicious rapes of underage girls you'll ever see. And that didn't merit an investigation?
Let's actually get to the details, Cenk, because I think it's important for you guys to know. Look, several weeks ago, Congressman Ro Khanna named some of the co-conspirator names, or at least individuals that investigators believed were co-conspirators. And there's no evidence, like with some of them, you know nothing about them, and there's no evidence that they've done anything wrong. But in this case, the 3 individuals that were laid out by Massie certainly do have some serious allegations against them. So let's start with Leon Black, who's the former CEO of Apollo Group Management. So he met Epstein back in 1994, and then in the 2010s, Black hired Epstein as a financial advisor. The CEO of Apollo Global Management hires Epstein as a financial advisor, right. So Black retired from his investment firm Apollo in July of 2021 after a review found he paid Epstein $158 million for financial advice between 2012 and 2017 after the pedophile's criminal conviction, which took place in 2008. Now, that advice spanned allegedly all sorts of topics, including taxes, art investments, and payments to Black's former mistress. There appears to have been a far more sinister dimension, though, to Black's relationship with Epstein. So, for instance, Black has been repeatedly accused of rape and assault, and Epstein is connected to those alleged cases of abuse. So Epstein arranged for Black to meet Sherry Pearson, whom Epstein had paid for massages, according to a lawsuit Pearson filed years later and eventually withdrew. She met Black at Epstein's townhouse, where Black allegedly raped her in the massage room. This lawsuit said Black denied the claim and said he had never met Pearson. But Pearson wasn't the only person who made allegations against him. By the way, lawyers working for the US Virgin Islands Attorney General interviewed at least 2 women who claimed that they had been sexually abused by Black after Epstein introduced them. There was the horrific diary that we covered on this show in detail. It was written by a 16-year-old who is autistic and has a form of Down syndrome, and she details the Leon Black rape in her diary, and we went over it entirely. So anyway, go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, and he bit her genitals. It's disgusting. So you don't have to believe it, you have to investigate it, right? And there's credible and not credible sources. The non-credible sources is Rando writes in or calls the FBI and says a story. That's not that interesting and not that credible. Could be true, but less likely. Then there are more credible sources like people we know who were victims and survivors. And that was their account at the time, okay? So that makes it 2 layers of credibility to that. Now again, it doesn't mean for sure that it's true. That's why we have trials. And that's where we present evidence and we do investigations. But what's curious in this case is, no, the government says, even though there is overwhelming evidence here, we won't even do an investigation. And to give you a sense of the finances, guys, like top level finance guys can take 2 and 20. What that means is 2% of your overall wealth that they are investing for you if they're handling your money, and 20% of the profits that they get you that year. So that's already a giant number. But no way does it get to $158 million in a lump sum. Here you go for some general advice.
For a guy.
Not a thing in finance, not a thing. So if you know anything about finance, you'd be like, ding, 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 that's what I'm investigating.
Yeah, remember, Leon Black was the CEO of Apollo, right? What is Apollo again?
Apollo is one of the largest funds there is in the whole world. Leon Black is an enormously savvy investor.
Come on.
He doesn't need Epstein or anyone else's advice. Those are some of the best investors in the world. Picture this, it's midnight, you're in bed, shopping cart full on Shop TYT. But your wallet's on the other side of the room. Oh no, you don't want to get up. Nobody wants to get up. Oh, then you see the purple Shop Pay button, which has your payment and shipping information saved and ready to go. The day is saved. That seamless checkout experience is all thanks to Shopify, which makes buying your next piece of TYT merch a breeze. Shopify is the platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Shopify gives you that leg up on the competition with hundreds of beautiful, ready-to-go templates to express your brand's unique style. Tackle all those essential tasks in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics, and expand your brand reach with built-in marketing and email tools. And I already mentioned that awesome purple Shop Pay button. It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. See fewer carts go abandoned and more sales go with Shopify and their Shop Pay button. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/TYT. Go to shopify.com/TYT. That's shopify.com/TYT.
It's amazing. There's more. We also know that Black had been paying millions of dollars to 8 women, 3 of whom were connected to Epstein. Why? What was he paying them off for? So there was the lawsuit that was dropped. Why was the lawsuit dropped? Was it because the claims were made up, or is it because there was a financial agreement behind the scenes? We don't know, because the DOJ is not interested in investigating this. Now, when it comes to Jes Staley, back in 1999, Jes Staley was the chief executive for JP Morgan's private bank. He was also part of a team that managed money and investments for Jeffrey Epstein, with whom he quickly developed a fairly close personal relationship with. Now, Epstein was one of JP Morgan's biggest clients. Some officials at the organization were a little suspicious of Epstein, to say the least, and those suspicions only ended up growing throughout the years. But thanks to Jes Staley, as well as others at the bank, JP Morgan kept doing business with Epstein. So for example, in 2006, Epstein was arrested and indicted for soliciting prostitution with a teenage girl. Staley insists that he discussed the situation with JP Morgan Chase's current CEO, Jamie Dimon, though Dimon has completely denied that. JP Morgan decided to keep loaning money to Epstein with the caveat of not proactively soliciting new investment business from him. By 2008, Epstein was facing lawsuits from numerous victims, and in June he pleaded guilty, or June of that year, he pleaded guilty to soliciting sex with an underage person. Now, even the rank and file staff at JP Morgan's private bank division wanted Epstein gone. But even at that point, Jes Staley's like, no, he made sure that Epstein remained a client. Why? At one point, Epstein appears to have helped Staley arrange a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In March of 2011, for instance, one JP Morgan employee wrote to Staley and another high-level executive, against all odds, we have been granted a meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Staley forwarded the message to Epstein and wrote, thanks, to which the convicted sex offender replied, surprise, surprise. I mean, there's more connecting Staley to Epstein that we can get into, but any thoughts on that, Cenk?
Yeah, so he says, against all odds, we wound up having a meeting with the Prime Minister of Israel that Epstein arranged. It seems like Epstein can get a meeting arranged for anyone in the Israeli government. Gee, I wonder why. He probably works for the Russians. And so I was rereading one of the drop site news articles. At one point, Epstein arranges a meeting between the French president at the time, Nicolas Sarkozy, the head of the Rothschild Bank, the former prime minister of Israel, and himself. This guy could arrange a meeting with almost anyone in the world. He got a meeting with Putin and Ehud Barak once. He's arranging all sorts of international political deals. Yet our government says no connection to intelligence. No, he's just a random citizen. Random citizens are always arranging dinners with the president of France and the prime minister of Israel. And every time it's for the benefit of Israel, but it's just super random. And our CIA can't tell, and we're not allowed to ask if he's Mossad.
Okay, I actually want to skip ahead a little bit to Les Wexner. Les Wexner, by the way, just recently testified. I love it because he testified in a deposition that was pushed for by the House Oversight Committee, I believe, and he didn't even travel to the individuals questioning him. They had to travel to Les Wexner, so it kind of gives you a sense of who has the power in this whole situation. But anyway, Wexner is a billionaire who ran businesses like Victoria's Secret and Bath and Body Works and Abercrombie and Fitch. I remember when Abercrombie and Fitch was embroiled in a sex trafficking case. Weird how that kind of stuff kept happening. Anyway, Epstein served as Wexner's financial manager for 20 years. Wexner handed over power of attorney to Jeffrey Epstein, which is not something that happens, okay, in usual situations. And we still don't know exactly why Wexner gave Epstein so much control over his life and finances. In a recent deposition, Wexner claimed that he was conned by Epstein. We don't need to watch it. I don't need to hear this grotesque man's lies. But through the release of the Epstein files, we learned that Wexner continued having a relationship with Epstein for far longer than he admitted to in previous testimony.
Yeah, nobody hands over their entire fortune. What they do is they have what they call family offices. And do they have people working for them that help invest their money? Absolutely. Do they give them the power to do whatever they want with the money? Almost never. Unless they have Alzheimer's or they've lost their faculties for some reason. Here, Wexner, here we go again. Oh, here's $1 billion, Jeffrey Epstein, do whatever you like with it. Our government looks at it and goes, oh, that's normal. But wait a minute, the FBI actually didn't say it was normal. They said he was a co-conspirator. And somehow, no investigation, no. Guys, look, to me, it's super obvious. And what's heartbreaking about it is that apparently there isn't one patriot inside the US government who's willing to blow the whistle on these guys, because somebody must have seen the tapes. Even if they destroyed the tapes, somebody must have seen them. They were in all the rooms, in all the houses, right?
Can I just go to the very last graphic here? Because I need everyone to understand that this issue runs much deeper, and as horrific as a child pedophile ring is, that alone is horrific enough. This issue goes even deeper than that, okay? Because get a load of this. Les Wexner's relationship with Epstein and Epstein's involvement in geopolitics is worth talking about here. Because according to a report published by Dropsite News, Jeffrey Epstein helped Leslie Wexner repurpose the CIA's Iran-Contra planes from arms smuggling to shipping lingerie.
So this is the one I'm obsessed with, Anna. I keep talking about this all the time. Accidental tourists don't wind up in the middle of the Iran-Contra affair. Our CIA has known about Jeffrey Epstein since the 1980s because he laundered the planes for them. So there's no question, zero, no question, the American government knew about Epstein for decades. And not only didn't do anything, but protected him and the other predators he was working with. So God bless Tom Massie and Ro Khanna for exposing these guys. And I know no one in our government and no one in our national media is on the side of the American people. And so it feels like it's hopeless. But look, guys, Khanna and Massie got at least some of the files released. And we found out so many things. All the things we just told you about came from the files. So they did incredible work to do that. And so now, of course, Israel panicked. Netanyahu came over, talked to Trump again. Right after he talked to Trump, Bondi came out and said, no more files. No, the half the files that we said we were gonna give you, they don't exist anymore, right? So yeah, they're gonna try to cover it up, but we gotta keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And if we're united, the American people are stronger than even the powerful that are running this country and clearly don't care about us at all.
I mean, look, they've got money, but we have people, so keep that in mind.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.